Hello everybody, my name is RetroBoy03, and welcome back to another LEGO Custom Rebuild review. Here I'm going to be showing off today my rebuild of the LEGO Batman movie 70901, Mr. Freeze Ice Attack, and I have turned it into the LEGO Batman movie, Mr. Freeze Ice Pod Assault. So, without further ado, let's get into the review. Starting off with the ice pod itself, you can see that this is, well, actually kind of a complex build, despite being of a pretty small size. I'll just take Batman. So this is it compared to a minifigure, so it's not that big, but, anyway, I do think I packed some nice detail into it. On the front, you can see that the windshield is actually one of these large ice pieces that's included in the set. On top, you have a stud gun cannon with a little scope on the side. I feel so on the sides I was able to capture some nice detail with this, with these tiles here, these, corner tiles, as well as kind of this white piece with the studs to kind of represent, like, this could be, the blue could be some ice and that's just some snow on the end. Down here, you actually have this sticker, which is being used as a fuel tank. You have these pieces on the bottom, which is kind of like how it hovers around. Those are basically the thrusters. On the back, you have this little gauge, as well as these two fist pieces, which can be removed and used as weapons for Mr. Freeze, which I'll show in a bit. You also have these little gun pieces on the sides for detail, which I think looks pretty cool. You have these power cables, which run into these, well, they kind of just run into the... They go from here and they run into the cannon, that's what I'm trying to say. Then if we just lift up the canopy, you can see that inside, Mr. Freeze just has two red buttons, and if I remove him, you can see that there are those bricks with studs on the sides, and those are basically just to show how far he can go in, since obviously he can't go farther back than that. So, if I just take off these fist pieces, as you can see, you can just attach them directly onto Mr. Freeze's hands to make it look like he has huge fists. So yeah, overall, this pod is of a pretty simple construction, but I think it works well. And I mean, of course, the cannon up top is a stud shooter, as you can tell, but I don't feel like shooting it right now, and you know what a stud shooter does, and I can't get Mr. Freeze to stand up with these fists. So you know what? Forget it. Just trust me on this one. If you have him attached to a sturdy base, he can totally stand up. Next build. The other two builds are extremely simple, and this one is definitely the simplest. It's just this tiny little ice block, and it only has one side, and the feature is, as you can see, he's standing on that little tile, which is actually the printed computer tile from the set. It is that you just push down on the back of that, and he's just launched out of it. Boom, you saved him. Good job. Next thing. The last section is this wall that can be broken apart, and, well, as you can see, it's not even put together that well. Since it doesn't connect together, like, at all, you just kind of slip the pieces together, and then you can either just try to shoot at the wall with your stud gun and completely miss, or if you don't have the patience, there. So now, I'm going to show you how to build every portion of this model. Starting with the wall here, you can see that there are 4 sections to it. The first one is just a 1x2 brick. The second one is the most complex. It's also the only one that really needs to be shown how you put it together. You have this hinge piece with a bar hook thing. Yeah, you attach this brick. Well, that's how you do it. You can see how it's done, and then you can just attach this on, and then put it like that. There's a stud under this pipe piece. So yeah, that's pretty simple. And then these two are each very simple, and I'm sure you can figure out how to put them together just by looking at them. So yeah, ice block. The ice block is also extremely simple. It's just this. 5 pieces. Yay. Starting with the canopy of the ice pod, we start off with this main mech torso piece. You then attach in these two 1x2 bricks in sand green. Then you use those to attach on this ice piece with two light blue cheese slopes on the front to create the actual canopy piece itself, the glass section. You then attach this disc as such. To these clips, you attach this assembly, which just adds some more detail. On each side, you can attach one of these, and, well, I mean, this is just one of them, and you can see how that's done. So we can just, put, this on like that, and then on the other side we'll have this, and we'll finish connecting those up in a minute. Here we're going to take this Technic pin and stick it in the back. Then we can attach on this brick with studs on two sides with a fist on each side to connect those. Then here we stick on these pieces, and then we have this build for this kind of freeze cannon on top, which you just attach to the studs as such. And then you just remove these pieces because I built it wrong. You attach them onto here and here, so you attach them onto the sides, and then you just put the power cables into there. As such. Okay, so that is how you make the canopy. And then we'll save that for later. Next up, we have the side detailing, which is pretty easy to build. You start off with a 2x4 plate with this tile piece attached. Then you attach on this plate piece. Attach another one of these corner tile pieces, as well as a just a 1x1 plate. Then you attach this 2x2 jumper. This hinge piece, which I forgot to mention, can actually move up and down for this section, so I'll show you that once I put it all together, I guess. And then you just attach those on, and, well, then you mirror that for the other side. Exactly, just wanted to make sure. Okay, pretty simple. Next section. Last up here, we're going to be taking a look at the base of Mr. Freeze's ice pod. This is kind of, well, the very base. You just have this one long 2x10 plate, sorry, just had to count that, with these two trans blue dishes on the bottom, and then you put these bricks on top. Then here you attach this 4x6 plate with the following pieces on top. So about that, then, in order to attach the side detailing, as well as keep Mr. Freeze in a good seating position, you're going to need two of these set builds. One right here, and one right here, as such. Then you're going to need to take this build, which is a bit more complex, but still pretty easy. You can kind of see how this is done. You have these pieces with a jumper on top of each, and this little exhaust piece clipped on, and then you take these two studded bricks attached to this modified 1x2 with a clip. Then you would just attach them together with that gauge, and that goes on here. And then on the bottom, you can just for the boosters, you can attach this on one side, which has the gas piece, and then on the other side, you can just attach a basic 1x2, and then now we can connect all of these bits up for the ice tank. I mean, ice pod, didn't mean to say ice tank. I was thinking of the Ninjago movie for a sec there for some reason. So anyway, you can attach this side detailing on as such. You can see where it attaches. It attaches on the last two studs of the 2x4. So it'll look as such, and then you can just attach the 3 studs of this canopy onto the 2 jumpers right here, and that will just fit in the center, I do hope. Okay, and then we can just take our Mr. Freeze minifigure and sit him in here, although I guess that honestly it might be a bit closer to a lying position, but I think it looks pretty good. And fold down the canopy, and there we go. And again, if you want to, you can just fold these pieces up for a bit of a different look. I do kind of prefer them down, but yeah. So that's pretty much the ice tank. I mean, not the ice tank, it's the ice pod. I'm calling it the ice pod. Ice hover pod. That sounds a bit cooler. Okay, it's the ice hover pod. That's what it is, except no substitutes. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see all of you in the next video. First try.